Nye County, we're back, and we have Amy on the line. Hello, Amy.
Hi, I'm listening to you and Ray discuss the marijuana item, and I have a couple of questions and a couple of statements to make. Somebody pointed out to me prior to the election that you would have to, and there are ordinances on this, and people should really look them up. There are some restrictions to where you can live in regards to mileage, like 25 miles circumference from a dispensary. If you're going to use recreational marijuana and grow your own, you can't live within a certain distance from a dispensary and do that. You have to live outside of that radius. And that might be a problem because I was at one of the meetings where they have on hold some of the applications for more dispensaries because until it was voted to be recreational use, we could only have one dispensary here, and we've already got that one in place. And so they were waiting patiently for this vote, and once it was voted in as recreational, now we can have 2 more dispensaries. So with that in mind, I have this question. With people coming to you and with wanting to use medical marijuana, are you going to have to give them a disclaimer that, look, you know, if you go out and you use this, it's going to be treated like any other DUI problem. If you get stopped, if you have an accident, and this is in your blood, you're still going to have a DUI problem. That's not going to go away with medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. There's still laws on the books that need to be worked out. How do you feel about all the legalities that these people are going to be faced when they, and I'm all for it, by the way, but they're still going to have these legalities to face once they get the okay and the doctor's your prescription to use the medical marijuana. How are you guys going to deal with that?
Well, I don't know that it's our responsibility to deal with that as long as the dosing instructions are on the prescription label. People need to know. I mean, it says right on all your hydrocodone and your codeine derivative drugs, don't operate heavy machinery. Now, you need to know, and people need to know, that if you get pulled over and marijuana is in your system for several days and they do blood work on you, there's probably going to be an issue with what's going on. I don't know what the legalities are. I don't know how much in the blood. Dr. Reiner would have a better appreciation for that than myself, Amy. But there will be an issue with it. As far as 3 dispensaries here in town and 25-mile zone around whether you can grow or whether you can't, I don't know how long they're going to be able to enforce those laws. If it's legal, people are growing it for themselves anyway. But if it's legal, I mean, I don't know where it's going to fall down on, Amy, but.
You know, that is you kind of brought up the issue that when you write a prescription now, there's a disclaimer on the label that you can't operate machinery and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that will have to be implemented in with prescriptions for medical marijuana. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it probably will have to go on the prescription label, Amy. But
well,
I mean, there's going to be a lot of new stuff, a lot of new laws coming on. You know, a lot of the old laws were set up to really discourage people from doing anything with cannabis. And now that it's legal, and I think you're going to see they're going to relax some on that stuff.
You know, I'm from the Vietnam era, and I have a lot of friends that were in the Vietnam conflict that have used medical or just used marijuana through the years just to maintain their sanity sometimes. But when you talk about overdose, I'm reminded that medical marijuana is processed in a different way than just street marijuana or growing your own plant.
Yes.
There's a huge difference between the two. So are you going to be able to foresee using this like on a baby, for example, with colic? And, you know, what age limits are you going to be restricted to at this time as far as medical marijuana?
I would be real careful at this point in time in using that with any infants or any children, because I don't know that any of the studies have been done related to that. Now, there are people, of course, that have experimented and tried this on their own with colic on babies. And from what I've heard, colics and earaches and things like that have responded very, very well to the use of it. But I'd be careful, because then you've got child endangerment issues. It'd be no different probably than you giving a baby for the croup, giving them, 2 teaspoons of bourbon to help them with the cough.
Bourbon, yeah.
Back in the day, back in my grandmother's day, she was an herbologist. And my grandmother used to use cannabis to treat asthma. She would get the plant, she would burn it, she would put it in an open pot, and the kids that had the asthma would lean into it with the towel over their head and breathe it. And she had great results with it. We didn't know that it was marijuana then. She was using it for medicine. Back then,
my uncle was an herbologist, and that's how I knew about it. I've never tried it on children of my own, and I've never heard of other people trying it. It's just that something I knew about in Europe. It was, these things were kind of commonly used over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And back in the day, it was nothing to get 2 tablespoons of honey and whiskey for a croup or for a cough. But I'm sure in today's environment, you'd end up having child services come down on you for doing that with a child, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But back then we didn't have cough syrups. We didn't have asthma medicine. Back then they treated it with herbs. They treated it with oils. They treated it totally different than they do since the pharmacies have come in and become such a huge business. Yeah.
This is totally off topic. Now that you guys are expanding and you're being able to treat more patients, how are you going to expand the front office where people can call in and make appointments? It's impossible to get through to make an appointment.
Well, it depends on which office you're calling. Right now, I can tell you that at the Independent Medical Center, Dr. Reiner is actively working on bringing in a new phone system, bringing in a whole new system to handle the amount of people that we're seeing. At the Wellness Center, we don't have that problem. People are able to get in, but we're a little more automated. But Dr. Reiner is actively working on that situation, Amy.
Now, how is your Wellness Center going to be different from the office that he has right now in the Terracotta building there in the parking lot? How is that going to be handled?
It's night and day, Amy, because we do physical medicine, we do chiropractic, we do trigger point release, we do physical therapy, we do exercise, and we treat a lot of medical patients because the average age of the people here in Pahrump is up there in years. And, once you get up around 60 and above, everybody has arthritis. Everybody has disc disease. Everybody has lost muscle mass. And it's just an issue of getting, we really push exercise. We really push nutrition. We really push lifestyle changes at the Wellness Center. But when we have a patient come in that has medical needs, we have an MD there for that situation also.
Who is that MD? Is that Dr. Reiner?
We use Dr. Reiner's there, and we use Dr. Jonak.
Okay. Now, is that a female doctor or?
What was that, Amy?
Is Dr. Jonak female or male?
He's a male.
Okay. Some people have mentioned a female doctor or somebody that's working there.
That would be Renee, and she's over at the other office. And she's a nurse practitioner that works under Dr. Reiner, and she's very, very, very good. She's a very good practitioner.
Well, I appreciate your answers, and I'll be making an appointment. Thank you.
Well, I hope you do. God bless you, Amy.
All right, bye-bye. God bless you.
Well, I'm still waiting for my my right hand to show up. I always kid Dr. Reiner. I feel like I'm his Ed McMahon, and and he's Johnny Carson, and he's late tonight. A lot of good questions. We've had a lot of good questions. You guys, get your questions together for the next half hour because we want to answer as many of them as possible. I'm told not to just say goodbye. I'm told to just say at the break that we're having a break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.